The book is a basic introduction to navigation aimed at people that are starting out in boating. It's not going into great depth, but it's intended to give people a sort of solid foundation knowledge that they can use straight away, but that they can also use as a basis on which to develop and go further through day skipper, coastal skipper, right up to yachtmaster and yachtmaster ocean. And I think there was a feeling that the existing RYA Book of Navigation or Navigation Handbook was a little bit too in-depth, a little bit too daunting, and that a smaller, more lightweight book was required so as not to scare people off, because navigation isn't difficult, it shouldn't look difficult. So we thought we should introduce a smaller book to do it. The book starts off with a basic introduction explaining what navigation is, what the units are that we use, things like what's the difference between a nautical mile and a land mile, and an explanation of latitude and longitude. That's particularly useful now because, of course, a lot of people are using GPS and chart plotters where latitude and longitude is more important than it used to be. Then we move on and talk about how to use GPS and chart plotters sensibly. And then after that, we then move on to the more traditional kind of navigation, how to work out where you are without using the electronics. There's a bit in there about tides, because the height of tide affects the depth of water, and obviously if there isn't enough water you can't float. And we talk about buoys and what these so-called signposts of the sea mean to you when you're out there in a boat, how to find your way into and out of harbours, and then how to do the passage bit in between going into and out of harbours, how to plan a passage, taking into account all the sort of factors that you need to be aware of. As a beginner in boating, I think don't start too big. Make your mistakes on a small or medium-sized boat. A lot of people start on big boats and then frighten themselves. In terms of navigation, I think the golden rule is not to be over-dependent on electronics. GPS and modern technology like chart plotters and such like are wonderful. They're great things, and they take a lot of the nervousness out. But learn to read a proper chart and learn to understand what's going on in navigation, because apart from anything else, you'll enjoy it more. Navigation is a fascinating subject. It's a lot more interesting than looking at a chart plotting screen.